What you're looking at is the New Testament, a book that shaped minds, controlled narratives, and built entire belief systems, but not on knowing, on believing. And that matters, because belief is accepting something as true without proof. Knowing is something completely different. This book has 27 writings, yet the foundation of it leans heavily on faith and belief, not verifiable evidence. It repeats one idea over and over: believe, because belief is the glue. Without it, the structure starts to crack under questions. Here's the part most people don't stop and think about. Without this book, the entire Jesus story, as people know it today, wouldn't exist. Everything people quote, preach, and build their lives on comes from these writings. No New Testament. No detailed Jesus narrative being taught across the world. That means the story doesn't stand independent of the book. The book is the source of the story, and those writings didn't come from nowhere. They were written in Greek, shaped in a world under Roman power, by people influenced by that system. So now you're not just dealing with a spiritual message, you're dealing with a message filtered through empire, language, and worldview. Now take it deeper. When Christians say, "I encountered Jesus," "I know God," "I met Jesus," "I saw him," "He's my Lord, my Savior," ask one simple question: where did that image come from? Because without this book, you wouldn't know what Jesus is supposed to be. Every description, every story, every word attributed to him comes from here. So when someone says they met Jesus, they're not meeting a figure they discovered independently. They're experiencing a version that was already defined and repeated. Example: if a child grows up never hearing about Jesus, never reading this book, never being taught the story, they won't suddenly describe the same name, same teachings, same figure. Why? Because the source of that identity is this text. This is where the story exists. This is where the character is formed. This is where the voice and meaning come from. Now let's go even deeper. That phrase people repeat, "I believe," it didn't come out of nowhere. This book emphasizes belief constantly. It trains the mind to operate on belief instead of verification. So when someone says, "I believe in God," or "I believe in Jesus," they're echoing a pattern that was reinforced through these writings. Example: ask someone, "Do you know or do you believe?" Most will say, "I believe." That answer alone shows the difference, because if they knew, belief wouldn't be necessary. So the repetition of "I believe" isn't random, it's learned language, shaped by a text that centers belief as the requirement. That's why this book has had such a powerful influence. It doesn't just give stories, it programs a way of thinking. One collection of writings, influencing over 2 billion people, shaping what they accept, what they fear, what they trust, and what they don't question. Now look at history. During slavery, this same book was used to tell enslaved people to obey their masters. It was used to justify suffering instead of resisting it. It was used to shift focus from present reality to a promised afterlife. That's not small, that's generational conditioning. So when you hear "I believe," understand what's behind it. It's not just a statement, it's a system that asks you to accept before you verify, to trust before you question, to submit before you understand. So now the real question becomes, if this book never existed, would people still say, "I believe" the same way? Would they question more? Would they seek knowing instead of accepting? Because when you remove the book, you remove the source of the story, and when you remove the story, you remove the script. And without the script, the mind has no choice but to think for itself.